we go. All right, fantastic. Jennifer, welcome to the podcast. How
Thank
are you
you.
doing?
I'm doing great. How about you?
Yeah, not too bad. Just getting started in the morning. You told me it was 6:30, so you're based over in Rhode Island. Is that right?
Yes, exactly.
Fantastic. Now, you work with an agency, and keen to kind of hear a little bit about the strategies that you guys use and yourself use when it comes to email marketing. And it's direct to consumer is a lot of your clients. Is that right? The people that you're working with?
Yeah, exactly. We do a lot of small to mid-sized D2C brands that mostly are e-commerce.
Have you seen any effective strategies, I guess, now that we're kind of coming into it, for Black Friday, Cyber Monday stuff? What I've seen a lot of is people starting their sales earlier and earlier and earlier and earlier, just to kind of
Yeah,
get a bigger chunk of that. Are you seeing that as well?
yeah, exactly. And we also integrate with a paid media team, and we're seeing that it's much less expensive to acquire customers earlier before that kind of like saturation gets ramped
Yeah.
up. So we're starting to do like more lead generation earlier and earlier on, and tailoring kind of our email and SMS communications through that beforehand to kind of communicate sales coming up, new collections dropping, seasonal things happening.
Yeah. How early are you guys going with that? Are you looking at even like September for some of this stuff, or?
Not September yet. I do think though, like November 1, everyone will be started already.
Yeah, yeah, big time. Yeah, that adds. So you guys kind of do it all in house as well then. So you've got your Facebook ads, and yeah, that's one of the good
Yep.
advantages, I think, of having that overarching umbrella where you're not communicating with multiple third parties and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. It's really nice way to make sure everything is like holistically working together.
Yeah, 100%. And so, what are you guys doing as far as the Black Friday, Cyber Monday strategies? Anything crazy, kind of cool out the box?
Not so far. We're still obviously waiting on some clients to like solidify exactly what their offers will be. What we're starting to do now is start to work on changing flows and really optimizing like post-purchase flows. We're
Mm,
looking to sort of minimize drop off after the holiday. So really making sure that those strategies are set in place to like nurture especially first time customers that are coming in through the holiday.
yeah. Are you creating separate like post-purchase thank you flows for first purchasers?
Yeah, I actually have like a really amazing post-purchase setup where from purchases 1 through I think 5, everyone gets sort of a different journey.
Cool.
And it's timed differently based on like average time between purchases. So from first to second, say it's 100 days, second to third, it's 75. And they get tailored content leading up to the point where they're technically overdue.
Got you. And those, I'm guessing, are for like perishable products. Is that right?
Not exactly. I mean, sometimes like we have a candle client and obviously by the time that the candle burns out or something, but we have, clients like jewelry and fashion, where customers usually just tend to buy their next piece at a certain point.
Got you. And then you tailor it according to like what purchase number that actually is, and then filter it all in.
Yeah, exactly. And the content, depends. Like, say if you were to make your first purchase, you'll get a lot of like brand information. If they have a store, you'll get the location of the store. They do piercings too. So it's like, oh, come get pierced and, buy a new piece or something like that.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, it's interesting. So we've done a little bit with the like review requests. We've done some stuff
Yeah.
where I've been pushing for a lot of my clients to go over to the Google review side of things. Obviously, you can't
Mm,
get like specific product reviews, but for a lot of businesses that are early on, just starting out, or doing under 50K a month, usually in revenue, um, there's like a lack of SEO presence from a Google reviews
yeah.
perspective. And so we've been pushing people. It's really hard to trigger. We trigger a flow that's based off a certain number of purchases to get the review over to Google, but obviously we
Mhm.
can't really get the feedback from Google depending on the type of review it is. So if they
Right.
give like a 1-star Google review, we can't see that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so
Because is there any way for you to like incentivize customers to leave that review?
So you can do it really manually, right? You can say like, hey, I just want to. So what we've been doing is if somebody places an order equals 3 overall time, typically, we can pretty safely assume that that's a repeat purchaser and they like our product, right? And then obviously we put the flow filters at the top. If they've refunded or canceled, it, kicks them out.
Sure.
Um, but we can do it manually where we say, hey, please give us a review in exchange for 20% off. But the manual process comes in where it's like, once you give us that review, email us with a screenshot of your review, and then we can. It's a pain, right? Especially if it's a team of 5 on the business owner side of things, and they have to manually see that, send them a coupon code. It's not ideal. Yeah, you can't really automate that. At least not yet.
Yeah.
Are you guys? Everyone's talking about AI. I can't see one person hasn't mentioned it in LinkedIn lately. How are you guys seeing that affect the old email marketing side of things?
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing a ton of the like AI assisted copywriting tools show up in a couple of different platforms. I don't know how great I think they are yet. I think they're really great for people who maybe have a lean team or like smaller businesses that just do not have resources for a copywriter. I'm actually doing an A/B test just right now out of my own curiosity in a flow with AI generated copy versus human generated copy, just to see which will actually perform better. We've been running it for a few weeks and it's kind of neck and neck. So I'm interested to see how it will pan out. I wonder how like going forward, AI will kind of like adjust to be able to change tone, to be able to like really reflect a brand voice, if that will even happen. It's kind of an interesting thing because I think some people are very precious about their copy.
Yeah, big time. I'm so ready to be automated out. I'm ready. I'm here for it.
Yeah,
I think,
copywriting is tough. I mean, I think it's a lot harder than it seems to really get like that balance between like cheeky but not corny and all of that.
yeah, 100%. I was talking to this other person who had this copywriting agency, and they were saying, we really haven't seen work drop off as much as people would think, because there's taking an existing voice and then putting that into an email is one thing, but actually coming up with the voice is a totally different, AI can only iterate on what's already there. To create something new, it's still far away from that. So
yeah, definitely. And another place where I'm kind of just starting to really explore is we started to work with this company called Black Crow AI. They're amazing. Their team is so friendly and fun to work with. But they have this predictive welcome offer. And basically you have your regular pop-up on site, and say people exit out, most people do, and they just want to browse first. It actually has a way to kind of predict when the next best time to show you a pop-up is, if there is even a next best time, which I think is really fascinating because we have obviously like exit intent forms, or you can just, have it show up again to the next time they come to the site. But we're getting started setting that up now, and I'm interested to see like how many incremental users it will catch.
yeah, do you know anything more about like how they're actually figuring out when to
I,
display
I
it?
really don't. I think I wish that I did know more. I would probably be rich if I did and start my own company doing that. But I think that they actually started their business with like a predictive offer that is used more on like paid channels, like paid media and whatnot. But I really actually don't know how it works. They have a different technology, which is able to, like, I think using cookies, it's able to capture more on-site behavior, and you can see like incremental flows in like abandoned cart and browse abandoned, things like that. That I understand a little bit more because basically what they install on your site is able to catch people more accurately than say like Safari. So that one I get a little more, and that's been super useful so far. So we've decided to move forward with the welcome offer as well for a couple clients.
That's very interesting. That's where I feel like AI is actually kind of going with this.
Yeah.
To be able to like automatically adjust and give dynamic delays for emails according to the actual user.
Yeah, and it's also like has a feature where it decides whether or not you even need like an incentive, like a 10% off or 20% off, and it will change according to the user's behavior. So I think that's fascinating, where like a lot of my clients are trying so hard to push against like the monstrosity of like sales and discounts that we see all the time now. So it's like, if we can catch users without giving them a discount and just have them pay full price on their first order, it actually would be like a game changer, I think.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that was the whole flywheel thing, right? Like people were having that opportunity, like, get a chance to win a discount. And then it
Right,
was,
right.
I never use those
I
flywheels.
hate those. Every
I think
time
they're
someone
corny
suggests
as
putting one up,
hell.
to me they look very like spammy and
Yeah.
just not elevated.
And it feels like gambling. You're gambling on some website all of a sudden. I'm like, I don't know. I've never used them before. I heard they're like pretty similar to your standard pop-up. I think when they first came about, everyone was like, and then would get involved. But yeah,
Sometimes, I mean, being a marketer, I think you're jaded and I'm like, is it just going to give me the same discount every time I spend,
you
15% or
know it's
whatever?
predetermined. That's the thing. It's like I know
Yeah,
you already know what you're going to give me. Like, don't lie to me. Yeah,
precisely.
I think something that I've seen, like, and this is like a little small thing, but like what I've started implementing for all the sign up forms for all my clients is just a little teaser. That little teaser in the corner after you close out a
Yeah.
form. That, with one of my clients, it bumps their conversion rates from like 6 to 9%.
Oh, wow.
It's probably one of the easiest wins, I think, when it comes to sign up forms out there. It's just that little thing in the corner.
Right. Because you're not going to sign up for a discount unless you're absolutely sure you're going to purchase something. So it makes
For
sense that you
sure.
can find it very easily again.
For sure. And I guess, nothing also really beats out like good branding, right? Like, I mean, the
Yeah.
role brand plays is just massive. I think in our space, like we come up against a lot of misconceptions around email marketing. Like what are the common ones that you guys come up against when it comes to, I guess, pitching a client email marketing?
Yeah. I mean, I think one of the biggest ones is that, like, I think people think that getting emails and SMS like really annoys consumers
Yeah.
for some reason. I think we maybe as marketers or people who work in like an e-commerce space, like they maybe get annoyed with how much they get. But I actually think that like content that's non-promotional and like non-discount based is actually really impactful. And there is some content that I think really brings people joy. I always like push people not to forget about the emails that happen in between like Black Friday and the next sale and Valentine's Day. I think those are like the important touch points that are often just like pushed to the wayside. So I think intentional content can often be like more impactful than a good deal.
Yeah, 100%. Educational stuff, things that
Yeah.
like position you as a thought leader up until
Yeah.
that sale. Yeah, I think that's huge. And I think, yeah, I agree. It's people get worried about, I don't want to spam my readers.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, they're already receiving 100 emails in their inbox every day. And it's really, I have this cool analogy that I like to use where it's like you have two friends, it's like if you talk to one once a week, you talk to one once a month, who are you going to be closer with? Assuming they
Yeah.
both give you the same value. Well, then obviously the one once a week. How do
Yeah.
you combat that? Like, how would you convince somebody that they're wrong?
Well, I don't know if it's necessarily about proving them wrong, but I think what I try to communicate is that each email will have like a different goal. And so I'm like, maybe for this email, we don't look at revenue, but we look at click rate, or we look at how many people sign up for your loyalty program out of it, how many people follow you on Instagram. And we set different goals. And I kind of just ask them to like take a step. Usually revenue is obviously the biggest goal that they have.
Sure.
But I just ask them to like take a step back and think about what other goals we can actually set during those moments that will like strengthen people's relationship to where when a sale happens and they are getting oversaturated, they're going to look out for your brand's email and pick that one over, the 10 other ones they receive at 9 a.m. on a Tuesday.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Are you using quite a few emojis in your subject lines as well?
We honestly don't use a lot of emojis. I tend to work with brands who are like quote unquote, elevated and almost more luxury adjacent. I wouldn't, say all of them are luxury, but definitely want to have like that chic and like simpleness to them.
Mhm.
I haven't done any really tests with emojis in the subject line either. So curious to hear if you have any like
Mm.
anecdotal information about that.
We're still running a few tests on some of that stuff. Once again, it varies so much from audience to audience.
Yeah, exactly.
I think initially it was like a cool point of difference. It was like anything to stand out in the inbox, but everyone's using them now, and it's just become another blank canvas now. So
Yeah.
I think the trick is to find What I've seen work really well is unconventional subject lines. For example, with browse abandoned or abandoned cart, instead of saying you left something behind or hey John,
Yeah.
we've switched it up by just saying like something as simple as RE dash dash your item.
Mm.
Weird things like that that seem like they're coming from like an automated system, or they're coming from some account related query that people are used to. Those typically outperform those more basic ones.
Yeah.
So we've seen really good success with that. I think what I want to do in the future with emojis is have a brand emoji. So it's like a business's emoji, so that when you see it come in, you instantly associate that emoji with that business. I've seen that work really well for other brands. So I know one company that's more like a marketing company that just gives tips and tricks on marketing. They use the same popcorn emoji in the subject line consistently every single email. So whenever I see it, I instantly know that it's theirs. But
Yeah, that's interesting.
yeah, but I only know it because the content within the email is also super valuable as well, because I'm reading
Right.
it. So it's the first time I got it, I was like, what is this? Opened it, read it. I'm like, okay, cool. Associated those two things. So it's off the back of good content, right? Like we can try and hack all that stuff as much as we want, but the emails, there's got to be some value in it, whether it be a discount offer or it's actually education. For a lot of my clients, we try and do like a 50-50 education promotion split in a month's content calendar. And that works really well. Like you gradually see the uptick in clicks and conversions over a longer period of time.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. And I feel like you could even get more granular where you're using a certain emoji for certain content. So people know like, hey, it might be like a style guide, or this might be some user generated content, or, a recap of something. Like I love when companies will send like their sustainability report. Like I always read stuff like that because I just think it's fascinating. So that could be a really cool like expansion on that.
Yeah, that's a great point, actually. I think maybe we should look at experimenting with that. Yeah, this is why I do the podcast.
It's like training people to like know what to expect. And I think people get excited when they are like, oh yeah, I remember the last one of that, series.
For sure. I think one thing as well, it's a hot topic in the email marketing space, and everyone talks about segmentation. What are some of I think the classic ones are segment by engagement and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But we can get super high level for a lot of businesses out there when it comes to segmentation that have lists of 100,000, 200, 300, 400,000. For smaller brands that are working with smaller lists of, under 20,000 people, what kind of segmentation strategies have you guys used, if that's the brands that you guys work with, that have worked effectively beyond like your classic engaged 90-day engaged, 60-day engaged kind of segments?
Yeah, this is like my favorite part of email marketing is segmentation. I don't know why. I totally geek out over it. And it's my favorite part of the day is like just building segments. So one that I've been looking at a lot recently is like segmenting by average order value. And there's two things you can kind of do with it, right? You have to like the higher than average order value, or lower. And you can either try to make people spend more, or you can meet people where they're at. So we've tried both ways where, hey, we have the lower AOV segment and we send them lower priced products, or if it's during a sale, we send them the super discounted items. And then the higher ones, we're like, hey, you guys are going to spend a lot. Like, here are the top ticket items. We emphasize like quality, things like that. Or we encourage them, like those lower AOV people, to buy more items per cart. So using like a bundle feature or just showing different products styled together. That's something I really like. And it's like you can make the same email and change like one or two products and a little bit of copy, and it's super effective.
Yeah, so you've seen tangible increases in total sales based off of those?
Yeah, definitely. And we've just seen like such a stark difference in performance versus like sending one generic email versus splitting it out into the high and low AOV. Like both of the engagements on those like split out ones are just like amazing. People are so much more likely to click through if they can see a price that they can afford.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. And what kind of segment, like list sizes, are we looking at for like a strategy like that? I mean, obviously it's always like effort versus reward. And if somebody has like 2,000 people, it's almost like, listen, the amount of work that you're gonna have to put in.
Right.
It's not worthwhile. Just blast out an email,
Yeah.
For something like that, what kind of list size are you looking at?
Usually my clients range anywhere between like, some of them have like 10,000 and then some of them have like 200,000, but we would see somewhere in the middle, probably like 40, 50,000. So
Yeah.
it's like a pretty good split when you split it up like that.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I think I'm going to use that for some of my clients as well. I'm thinking right now.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I love segmentation, and like a couple other ones we've been going through is like, this is pretty much only in Klaviyo. I'm sure you can get information like this elsewhere, but using like their predictive analytics to target customers that are like overdue. So I think it's like the churn risk one. So using all of that, like they're, supposed to make their next order within the next 30 days, we start pulling them back into like regular just emails. Maybe they have been excluded, they haven't engaged. And we start kind of like pushing them back into the realm of like, you need to buy your next item, like we think you're going to. And I think those are going to be important people to sort of like warm up before like sale period hits.
And are you doing that with automations or are you doing that with campaigns?
We actually are doing it with both. So we started with we started with the campaigns just to see, like, we were like, let's target these people and see if they actually purchase. And we saw a fair amount actually convert. So we did end up building an automation, like when somebody enters this segment, then they get thrown into a flow. That's like, basically, it's kind of like a win back, but it's using predictive analytics through Klaviyo instead of just like a general number that we pick.
Yeah, roger that. That's super useful. Okay, fantastic. Jennifer, I think that kind of gives us roughly to a close. Is there anything else you want to kind of plug? Any cool tips and tricks from like a Klaviyo perspective that you think people are kind of missing out on?
I love Klaviyo so much. I would say we didn't talk about it like too much, but I think using SMS and email on Klaviyo together is like so valuable. And I really push my clients to use both, even if they're just using SMS for like automations, order, shipping confirmations, things like that. We just see such a better lift in engagement across the board when we use both.
Are you using SMS in, like, for example, abandoned cart flows, browse abandons, and you're seeing good results from those as well?
Yeah, the abandoned cart specifically usually does a lot better. There's just such a high intent to purchase there, and it's such an easy, like, you click one link on your phone, and then most people have like Shop Pay or something, and then you just check out so quickly. I think it's also like abandoned cart emails can get very like, do you fill them with content or do you not fill them with content? Whereas a text, it's just so simple. And I think that ends up being like a better way to convert people.
And are you filtering how many SMS messages somebody will get in like a given period of time? Because I think, once again, the age-old thing is I don't want to send too many SMS messages. Are you saying if they've received an SMS message in a week, in 2 weeks, you kind of filter them out, or what's your plan of attack?
Yeah, we'll add like filters for flows. Like if somebody was in this flow within the last 2 weeks or something, they wouldn't get it again. And then with campaigns, we still segment just as much as we do with email with SMS.
Yeah, Roger. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, cool. And why should somebody go for Klaviyo SMS over another SMS provider out there?
Well, I don't think there's like too much difference in terms of the product, right? I think, to be honest, like some other products offer more like customer support or maybe are more like advanced in terms of two-way conversation. I just think having them both on the same platform creates such a better customer experience. And I think attribution is more accurate. So if it's something that you're concerned about, like, hey, I don't know how much money we're actually making per channel, having them on one platform is just like a super easy way to solve that.
Yeah, I think that's the same. I totally agree. It's like you can go to Yotpo, but then you're working with two different platforms.
Right. Just streamline it. Why not?
Yeah, 100%. Awesome. All right, Jennifer. Well, thank you so much for hopping on. If anyone wants to find you, they can reach out to you on LinkedIn, and we'll kind of go from there. Awesome, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in.